I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Stick to the Pod. Yep, Season 2, Episode 10. I'm your host. Let's get straight into it. What happened in NIHL North this week? Well, we'll head over straight to Sheffield for where they hosted the Widnes Wild. And it's a big game for the Widnes Wild, who actually come from being behind to take the Sheffield Scimitars to overtime and get their first win on the board. Yes, it wasn't the big 3 points that they would have hoped for, but they've got a win on the board nonetheless, and they are up and running. It's Pelling for the Sheffield Scimitars, who scores twice for them, and for the Widnes Wild, it's Hopkins, McClellan and Virostek. So yeah, a fantastic start to the weekend for the Widnes Wild, and a huge moment for Thomas Virostek getting that game-winning goal in overtime. So it was actually the Widnes Wild who outshoot the Sheffield Scimitars 36-25 in this one. Not many penalties in the game either, but it was the Sheffield Scimitars going 2-0 up through both Pelling goals, and then the Widnes Wild slowly clawed their way back into the game. It Andy Hopkins getting the first one in the 36th minute. Then it was Ben McLennan, the former Hawk, tying the game at 58-42, so right at the depth of the game. And then Thomas Virostek comes up clutch and gets the overtime win and the first win of the season for the Widnes Wild. Also on Saturday, it was the Leeds Knights hosting the Whitley Warriors at Ellen Road, and it was to be a big night for the Warriors netminder, who gets a massive shutout for Ryan Waddell. Yes, only 27 shots. Normally you're around the 40 mark for games at our level. But yeah, didn't concede on 27 shots. A fantastic performance from Ryan. Probably the hardest thing to do in ice hockey, keep a shutout. A lot of people say scoring, but I mean, any sort of luck and the puck can go in at no fault of your own. So a fantastic effort from Ryan getting the shutout. Goal scorers for the Warriors then, and you wouldn't be surprised to hear that it was Phil Edgar with his 10th goal of the season, assisted Jamie Ord and Dean Holland. And it was Dean Holland getting the insurance marker for his 6th goal of the campaign, with Harry Harley and Phil Edgar also on the assists. Like I said, just the 27 shots on goal for the Leeds Knights, and it was a 45 shot effort from the Whitley Warriors. So it was the Warriors taking all the points back to the Hillheads with a 2-goal victory. Moving next on to Sunday night, and we're going to go straight into the game at Whitley Bay. And it's the Whitley Warriors who lose out on home ice to the Solihull Barons. It's the Barons who take the game 3-1, outshooting the Warriors 59-38. Dan Mulcahy getting the Barons off to a 1-0 lead just 9 minutes into the game, assisted Alex White and brother Phil Mulcahy. And this was also on the power play. A fair few penalties between the two sides this game as well. Solihull then make it 2-0 short-handed. Probably a bit of a kicker in the gut for the Warriors. You try to get back in the game and then you concede on your own power play. And it was Bailey Challenge, the defenseman, scoring, assisted by Nicholas Otterson and Brandon Anderton. The Warriors then do pull one back on the power play through Adam Wood, assisted Phil Edgar and Dean Holland. And then the nail in the coffin, with not long left to go in the game, Dan Mulcahy scores another short-handed goal, scoring his 11th goal of the season, assisted Nicholas Otterson, who has 16 assists currently on the season. 7 penalties on the night for the Solihull Barons, who were 1-3 for the night, whereas the 4 power play opportunities, I don't know why it says, must have been, let's try to look at these penalties now and see if there's any matching minors, and I can't, Liam Smedley and Phil Mulcahy both go for roughing. So the Solihull Barons were 1-3 on the power play. The Whitley Warriors 1-6 and conceding 2 short-handed goals. So I didn't know how I felt about this result. I think it was very much a 50-50 game, and exactly probably what it is. It is quite a close game when you think about it. Both teams score on the power play. It's the two short-handed goals that are the killer for the Whitley Warriors. 5-on-5, very equally matched. The Barons do outshoot the Warriors 59-38 though. That's a big outshooting. It was Josh Crane who was in the pipes as well for the Warriors on the Sunday night, and the ever-present Graham Laverick in goal for the Barons. So it is a big win for the Barons that they take all the points at Hillheads. Nearly said Hobbs Moat there, but Hillheads there taking the 3 points. Both got very similar records now as well, but we'll come to that in the league tables a little bit later on. Moving on then. And it's, where should we go next? Sorry, we're going to go with probably the shock result. I think it is a bit of a shock result actually. The whole Jets going to Blackburn Hawks in the league. Not so much a big say what was going to happen, but it certainly has big implications for their cup division, which we will cover a bit later on also. And it's a 6-0 blowout from the Blackburn Hawks and against the Hull Jets. A lot of the Blackburn goals come actually late. They come in the last 8 minutes of the game, so a little bit of a late onslaught, probably when the Hull Jets are going for it and leaving all sorts of gaps at the back. Also worth mentioning the Hull Jets without Zach Brown. I think that's a big thing to say. I mean, if Zach Brown is playing, I could probably argue that game is going to be a little bit closer than it was. But no, the Blackburn Hawks take full advantage, especially in the last 8 minutes of the game. Hawks did start well though. Early in the game, Adam Barnes gets his 12th goal of the season. A goal a game roughly for Adam Barnes, which the quality player that he is, you'd fully expect him to be 2 goals a game roughly, I would say. But yeah, his goal a game. He's actually currently beat us. That was his 12th goal of the season. Jacob Luckwhite with his 14th goal of the season. So currently outscoring Adam Barnes. Then Barnes starts the onslaught in the third period with the Blackburn Hawks' third goal, his 13th of the season, which then was followed very quickly by James Royds. I think it was just 18 seconds later, James Royds adds his 7th goal of the season. Just 2 minutes later on, again, a very quick succession, Luke Watson scores his 2nd of the season. And then again, just another 2.5 minutes later, David Jurinox gets his 5th goal and the Hawks' 6th on the night. But yeah, lots of implications, that one, for the cup competition. Relatively clean game by the two sides. 4 penalties for the Hawks, just the 2 for the Jets. The Hawks outshooting the Jets 48-30. And as I say, a notable absentee for the Hull Jets was Zach Brown. Moving on then to the Billingham Forum, where the defended champions were hosting probably a very buoyant and excitable Widnes Wildside, who got their first win the previous night. No such forgiveness from the Stars. They were on it and really put the Wild to the sword. I thought the Wild were very, very poor on the Sunday. Could have been a lot worse for them this game. I think the Stars outshot them 47-20. And generally, I am being so honest here, that 20 is being very honest. I think it could be closer to 10. And I'm not even taking the mickey. I don't really recall them doing much in the offensive zone at all. I think Damani James is very lucky to finish the game as well. He delivered 2 very high hits. One which somehow was called high sticking, which, no, lot of bollocks to me. It's a high hit, it's to the head. Referees got to do better jobs looking after players if we're trying to cut out the crap in the game. If we're trying to cut out these headshots, make the game cleaner and safer, referees have got to do a better job. Granted, if the footage goes in and stops D in the game, the hit or whatever it is that's to the head is not a ban, fair dues. If the team loses that player just for that game, then so be it. That has to be accepted by coaches and fans. But yeah, if it's a hit to the head, you've got to be out of the game. It's the only way they're going to clean this game up. And Damani James delivered two very suspect hits to the heads in my opinion. One on Ben Greenhow in the first period, which he was punished for high sticking. I'm not sure, I suppose his stick would have been high since his hands were up in Ben Greenhow's face, and Ben Greenhow is no small kid. And then the second one was very much elbows to the head on Joe Dowdle in the second period, I believe it was. Might have been early in the third. But Damani James very lucky to finish the game to the point where he started getting a bit of stick from the crowd. Just, I don't know what he was getting it tough. He was getting it bad. To be fair, his team was skating around like they were lost. I tried to describe it to someone, and it's like, you know, when you see under 10s or very young small children who are playing team sports for the very first time, and they're not quite sure on the positional play yet, which is understandable because they're young, so they all just follow the ball or follow the puck or whatever, and it's just a group of them skating around hunting the ball and puck. That's what the Widnes Wild were like Sunday. I thought we were going to see a much improved Widnes Wild, especially after getting the win the night before, and the improved performances the week before as well. And obviously there's very positive news about a couple of new players coming in potentially. I thought they might have just turned the corner, but that was a very, very poor performance from the Widnes Wild. As for the game itself, like I said, the Stars outshot the Widnes Wild 47-20. I don't believe the Stars got out of third gear. They didn't really have to. Took a few penalties though, but that's just the way it goes. I think in the third period, the referee wanted to make a name for himself, as some of these guys tend to do lately. I think it was 4 penalties in the last 6 minutes that were called. Well, I mean, looking at it here, the last 8 minutes of the game, 5 penalties on Billingham. It tells you everything, but hey ho, never mind. Goal scorers in the game then, obviously it was a 7-0 victory for the defending champion Billingham Stars. Callum Wilkinson getting his 6th of the season. Remember I said before, this guy so unlucky last year. He got injured at the start of the season on a family holiday, I think it was, or he was just on holiday, got an injury, started the season injured, and he just couldn't get up to speed for love nor money. It just wasn't working for him. Just couldn't get goal. Granted, he was always finding himself at the right place at the right time. He just couldn't get the puck in the net. This year, different story for him. You can see the confidence in him. He's got 6 goals, 7 assists, a point a game for a third line centre who has been entrusted in centering 2 kids at times this year as well, who are just learning their game. He's really enjoying that responsibility. But it is Callum Wilkinson getting the first goal on the board for the Stars and his 6th of the season. Young Lucas Dowdle makes it 2-0, getting his 3rd of the season, assisted by Callum Wilkinson and James Helens. Chris Sykes still putting them away quietly, going about his business, just doing what he does. Chris Sykes, I believe, has 30 points already this year, scoring his 13th goal for the Stars, 3rd goal, assisted Ian Brown with his 12th assist of the year. James Helen bangs one in for his 4th, assisted Roland Grittins and Callum Wilkinson. And then the third period, it just continues to be the Ian Brown show. He rocks up 3 times for his 19th, 20th and 21st goals of the season. At 41:07, he makes it 5-0 to the Stars, which is unassisted. His 20th goal of the season, making it 6-0, assisted by Sykes and Michael Elder. And Ian Brown gets the hat-trick, making it 7-0 on 54:24, assisted Tommy Spraggan. So a 7-0 routine victory for the Billingham Stars, who probably thought they were going to be in for a tougher night themselves. But the class of the lads at the moment, the class of the team at the moment, just shows that they are preparing themselves for absolutely everything, which is good to see from a team who are defending a league title, because there is much, much bigger battles to come towards the end of the month. Anyway, we'll get into the last game of North 1 of the weekend, and it's the shocker, it's the big upset. Sound the horn again, we have an upset, and it's the Deeside Dragons who travel to the Nottingham Lions, and the Nottingham Lions claim themselves another scalp this season. I don't know whether the Deeside Dragons go into this game cocky, arrogant, full of themselves, underprepared because they're on a bit of a run. Put the number 1 netminder on the bench because it's just the Nottingham Lions. I've watched the game. I watched a bit of it on the Sunday, and then I've watched it again since. for the highlights, just to get a feel of how they were playing. And boy, were they lazy. Skating, they weren't even skating around. It was just a team that's got the talent of Jared Dickinson, Ross Kennedy, Jake Witkowski, Jakob Hayek should not be losing a game this season. And Gary Simpson should not be losing a game this season since that roster got put together. Never mind losing a 2-goal lead away to Nottingham Lions, who, yeah, they have improved slightly this year, but they're not the team that everyone says they are. They're not this fantastic top team that are going to finish in the top 4, because they won't get anywhere near the top 4. They're 5-5 at the moment, so 500. Nothing special whatsoever. Yes, they've got one or two very, very talented players in Somerton and obviously Alice Padalek. But yeah, I'm not sure what went wrong with the D-side Dragons on Sunday. Like I said, I don't know whether they weren't prepared properly. They thought it was going to be an easy night's work, maybe going up 2-0, and they thought that was it, job done. I don't know. Obviously, they got themselves into a lot of penalty trouble as well, which we'll get into a bit later on. I don't know. We'll go through the penalty minutes now. So on the night, totals, Nottingham Lions had 6 penalties for 12 minutes, and the D-side Dragons had 13 penalties for 26 minutes. And the penalty at 59:46 tells you everything you need to know. There's a bench penalty for abuse of official. That tells me that is a sore losing team. They've got beat, they've been embarrassed, they don't like it, so they're venting their frustrations elsewhere. Into the goals then. I said me a bit on D-side. I mean, they've lost 3 games already this year. Some big games to come. This was probably one they could ill afford to drop with those big games just around the corner. But yes, it was Jared Dickinson and the D-side Dragons who opened the scoring, making it 1-0 to the Dragons. Some time later, just before the half-hour mark, it's Ross Kennedy making it 2-0. And then very quickly on the power play, it's Regan Kidd and Alice Padalek who gets his 11th goal of the season, making it 2-2. A short while later, Gary Simpson makes it 3-2. And then the Lions go 3-3, you guessed it, on the power play scored Alice Padalek. Notably, a few seconds later, Ross Kennedy gets his second of the night, making it 4-3, assisted Jake Witkowski and Jakob Hayek. Obviously that being the D-side Dragons top line of Ross Kennedy, Jake Witkowski and Jakob Hayek. And then that ends the scoring for the D-side Dragons at 39-22, just before the end of the second period. So yes, they're going to the second period. They're a goal to the good. They must be thinking, let's just do this job, see it out properly, be professional, stay out of the box, and we'll be just fine. So at 46-47, the Nottingham Lions make it 4-4 on the power play. Toby Fisher getting his 5th goal of the season and first of the night. 30 seconds later, it's Toby Fisher again scoring his 6th of the season, 2nd of the night on the power play. And then 45 seconds, again, 3 goals, very quick succession. Alice Padalek gives the Lions a bit of an insurance marker and puts them up 2 goals to the good, 6-4. His hat-trick goal and his 13th of the season, and surprisingly was an even-handed goal. So for the power play, the Dragons were actually 0 for 5 on the night. That firepower that they have cannot go 0 for 5. It just can't be allowed to happen. For the Nottingham Lions, they had 12 opportunities on the power play, and 5 of their 6 goals were scored on the power play as well. I'm going to give you the shot totals, but I don't believe them. Obviously, Nottingham have got something crazy going on with their shot counting, or they've just got a weird amount of fingers because it's just not normal. Nottingham Lions outshooting the D-side Dragons 50-29. Make of that what you will. But yes, the Lions get themselves another big scalp and get themselves a big 3 points for the league and sits them in mid-table. A big, huge thank you to Joe Scott. I know it gets mentioned by myself and Craig on the Starcast that we're on with Carol. A big, huge thanks to Joe. I know I'd be lost without him. So let's have a run through the Morley table, and we'll have a quick look at the cup first of all. Starting in Group B then, or Division B, or Table B, whatever you want to call it. It's the Blackburn Hawks at the top, played 5, won 5, maximum points 15 from 5. Hull Jets, 6 games played, 5 wins, also 15 points. As a betting man, I would definitely say that's probably how that table is going to finish. Hawks 1, Jets 2. Do they finish in them positions? I'd probably say yes. In third place, it's the Solihull Barons, who will be desperately trying their best to catch the Jets. They've got 2 wins, 1 overtime win, which is probably what could hurt them the most. Getting just the 2 points for a win and not the 3. So that night in Leeds could be very costly. They've got 8 points. Leeds finished their cup campaign, 8 games played, 2 wins, an overtime loss for 5 points, for 5 losses, 7 points. And the Widnes Wilds, although they've got some points on the board, they've yet to get points in the cup. And that's definitely the Widnes Wild not making it through. So as I said, the top 3, the Hawks, Jets and Barons, 15 points and 8 points. Barons will be desperately trying their best to catch the top 2. The Hawks is probably unlikely with only 5 games played and still unbeaten. I'm just trying to work out this fixture. Is anybody any good with fixture grids? It's a question I'd like to ask you all. Are you any good with fixture grids? I am a nightmare for trying to work these out. Let's have a look here. So according to this, I think the Widnes Wild have still got to go to Blackburn in the cup. Is that right? Oh, I don't know. I think Blackburn have got Widnes. Right. I don't know. I can't tell. I hate these grid things. So by looking at this, Blackburn have got Widnes. Oh, I tell you what, I'll go to another page. Where's the fixtures? I can't really work this thing out. So look at this. Yes, Blackburn have got Hull Jets, the Solihull Barons, and the Widnes Wild left for their 3 games. Which, right, yes, I've worked it out. Yes, at last. I just don't know which way is home and away. Never mind, it's not important. So the Hull Jets and the Blackburn Hawks on the 21st to the 12th. The Blackburn Hawks and the Solihull Barons on the 17th of the 11th. Oh, that's this coming weekend, is it? It is. And the Blackburn Hawks against the Widnes Wild on the 15th. Well, that win against the Widnes Wild will guarantee them qualification in the cup. So, yeah, the Hawks just need probably the 1 win, and that'll be enough for them. But they do have 2 tough games left in Solihull and Hull. Let's see if I can work Hull's fixtures out. Blackburn and Solihull. So Hull, 2 very tough games. And the Barons have obviously Blackburn, Hull and Widnes. Could be very tough then, so it could come down to the game between Hull and Solihull. That'll be very, very interesting indeed. When is that fixture? 23rd of the 11th. So I think we'll know Division B, Group B, whatever you want to call it, by the end of this month, pretty much who's going to be where. I know Group A will be slightly different because obviously the Stars play the Warriors in between Christmas and New Year, the 28th and the 29th of December. But let's quickly go through the table. It is the Dragons who are currently top. 7 games played, so they've only got 1 left. Let's see who that is against. Oh, it's at home. They have a home game against the Billingham Stars just before Christmas. So I think if Stars win that, that's probably them qualified. Anyway, let's go through the table. Deeside Dragons, 7 games played, 5 wins, 2 losses for 15 points. Billingham Stars in second, 4 games played, 4 wins, 12 points. Whitley Warriors, 5 games played, 3 wins, 2 losses, 9 points. The Nottingham Lions in fourth, 6 games, 3 wins, 3 losses, 9 points. And the Sheffield Scimitars, all 8 games in the cup played without a win. So off the top of my head, I can tell you quite quickly, the Stars have got the Warriors twice home and away, Dragons away, and Nottingham away. For Warriors to qualify, it's looking like they'll probably have to beat the Stars twice, I would say. And obviously in derby games, that could very well happen. Obviously Stars go to Deeside, which will be a big game. That'll be a must-win for the Dragons in terms of league and cup. That'll only put them on 18 points, 6 above the Stars, who will have 2 more games after that to play against the Warriors. I think they also play Nottingham just before, well, they do play Nottingham just before Christmas because I'm away on holiday. So yeah, the Cups groups have got very exciting, especially between the top 3 teams in each division, which is probably what the league were hoping for. So yeah, certainly keep out for those fixtures that double up as League and Cup. And we'll move into the Morley Conference now. And it is your defending champions, your Billingham Stars, or the Billingham Stars, or the league's defending champion, Billingham Stars. Played 12 games, won 11, lost just that once in Solihull, 33 points on the board, 81 goals scored so far, and just the 26 conceded. Now the best offence and best defence in the league statistically. Notably, the only team not to lose a game at home as well. They are 7-0 at home and 4-1 away from home. In second place, the Hawks have got themselves up there after a disastrous weekend for the Deeside Dragons. The Hawks played 12 also, 8 wins, 4 losses, 74 goals scored, 27 conceded for 24 points. So a massive 9 points behind. That's what this 3-point system has done, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. The Deeside Dragons in third, 11 games played, 8 wins, 3 losses, win their game in hand, and they will go into second place after that shock defeat on Sunday. In fourth place, it's the Hull Jets. They are slowly falling down the table. In a bit of a bad form really, only having wins against the bottom 3 sides, but it's the Hull Jets in fourth, 7 wins, 1 overtime win, 4 losses for 23 points. The Barons in fifth, 11 games played, 6 wins, 1 overtime win, 4 losses for 20 points. Whitley Warriors, after their impressive start, slowly falling away down into 6th. And that's 11 games played, 6 wins, 1 overtime loss, 4 losses in regulation for 19 points. In 7th, the Nottingham Lions, who we mentioned earlier on, who are 500, 5 wins and 5 losses for 15 points. And they also have a little bit of a gap to what's beneath them, 8 points. And in the last playoff place is League New Boys, Leeds Knights, with 11 games played, 2 wins, 1 overtime loss and 8 regulation losses for their 7 points. The Sheffield Scimitars in 9th, 13 games played, just the 1 win, an overtime loss and 11 regulation losses for their 4 points. And it's basement dwellers, the Widnes Wild, who do get their first win of the season, but it was an overtime win, so it's not the maximum 3 points. It is 2 points for them from their 11 games, 1 overtime win, 10 losses, 2 points, and still without a home win. Also, that applies to the Sheffield Scimitars. The Sheffield Scimitars and the Widnes Wild are the only 2 teams not to have a home win this season. So, the 3-point win, are we enjoying it? Do we think it works? I think it's doing exactly what it says on the tin for what 3-point wins do. If you're winning and you're performing, you're going to get rewarded with the points gap, which is what the Stars have done. They are currently 9 points ahead of the 2 teams below them, who have both got 24 points. But look at it for the teams at the bottom as well. The Leeds Knights are 8 points behind 7th place. So looking at this table right now, you'd think, yep, Nottingham are going to come. Well, to be fair, looking at this table now is probably how you'd expect it to finish. This is how I would expect it to finish it right now. I wouldn't have picked this at the start of the season. I didn't think the Billingham Stars would be this good. I'll hand on heart, I thought we'd have a bit of a championship hangover. But no, the captain, the coaches have got the team well drilled. They know the plans for the season. And they look up for it as much as anybody I've seen in a long, long time. But as the table stands now, is how I expect to see the table in April, March, last weekend of March, I think. But look at the teams down the bottom. Yeah, the Widnes Wild are only on 2 points. The last playoff spot is 8th position on 7 points. It's 5 points is not a lot when it's 3 points for a win. You beat Leeds twice and you're a point above them. So there's still a lot to play for points-wise. And it's going to be just a fantastic season. I mean, there's a section of the season that's coming up for the Billingham Stars that is probably tough as it's going to get. But they have something like, they have Leeds away Saturday coming. They then have 2 home games in Widnes and then Hull. And that's the start of it. You got Hull. And then I believe it's Solihull and Blackburn. Or Blackburn then Solihull, whichever way around. I don't think it really makes a difference. 2 big games. I think it's Blackburn then Solihull. Away to Blackburn on a Saturday, home to Solihull on a Sunday. And then the following weekend, it's home to Blackburn, away to Blackburn. So all the Stars fixtures against Blackburn are done within the next 3 weeks, which is madness. So yeah, there's some tough fixtures coming up. And obviously before Christmas, there's a game or 2 against D-side as well. I'm just trying to look through everyone, just trying to look through fixtures now to see if anyone else goes on a little mad run of fixtures. But this is what champions have to do to retain their titles, and it's what you've got to do if you want to win a title. You've got to have these moments. You've got to plan ahead to slightly. Yes, it's every game as it comes, but you've got to slightly plan ahead for knowing who you've got and when, and who your rivals have as well. And you've got to plan your way through a season, and I'm sure this is what the coaches and captains do. Let's jump into the fixtures this weekend, because there's some absolute beauties starting on Saturday. So the Saturday the 9th of November, it's the Hull Jets hosting the D-side Dragons, and I'm sure Hull will want to get back to winning ways on home ice. It hasn't been easy for them of the last few weeks on home ice. 2 losses to Billingham, a loss to Sheffield as well. So they'll certainly want to get back to making that home ice a fortress. And obviously the D-side Dragons, I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. They will need to go to Hull fully prepared, ready for a battle, and they'll need their scorers with their shooting sticks, because if Zach Brown's in net, it will be a long night as well. Also on Saturday, it's the mad 7:30 face-off in Leeds, and it's Billingham Stars' first trip there this year. Moving on to Sunday, the Widnes Wild hold the Whitley Warriors. As I mentioned earlier on, the Widnes Wild were very poor on Sunday. Bit of a shock to see, really, after a couple of good performances. Yes, one was a loss and one was an overtime win, but it looked like they were just starting to turn things around. So it'll be interesting to see how Whitley Warriors go there and how strong they go as well, because I know they haven't been travelling so well on a Saturday. So that'll be interesting to see. Also on the Sunday, a big game between the Sheffield Scimitars and the Leeds Knights. A win for Sheffield can put them into playoff contention, which for the bottom 3, I think that's Nottingham are going to make the playoffs. I think there's no worry there. But the bottom 3, they are battling for that last spot. And it'll be just a case of who wants it more. Talent-wise, I think Leeds have that little bit more than the other 2. But it's still early. Both teams can bring players in. And we know Widnes are on the verge. Are they close to bringing in 2 new faces? But we'll soon see. The Blackburn Hawks host the Nottingham Lions, and we know what happened last time the Lions went there. But this is a different Blackburn Hawks at the moment. They are scoring goals for fun. And the last fixture of the weekend is the D-side Dragons and the Solihull Barons. So that'll be another massive battle for the Dragons. The Dragons have a big weekend. Hull away and then home to Solihull. If Solihull want to maintain with the pack and have any sort of championship ambitions, they need to win on Sunday, in my opinion. If they lose that one, I think they'll probably have to sit back, maybe see what they can do in the Cup, see if they can surprise a few and qualify for the semi-finals, and then see what they can do in the playoffs. But if they beat the D-side Dragons, I think they can put themselves right back in contention. Moving on then, and we will now move over to Laidler, and let's see what's been happening over there. So on Saturday, as the bigger schedule than Sunday, we have, starting on the top of the sheet, is the Kingston Sharks at home to the Altrincham Aces. It's a 4-2 victory for the Kingston Sharks. The shots were 37 apiece, Daintiff scoring 2, Rogers and Howells getting on the score sheet for Kingston, and for Altrincham it was Price and Milnes. The early one in Nottingham was the Lions 2 versus the Billingham Buccaneers, and it's the Bucks who get all 3 points, taking the score 5-3, outshooting their hosts 37-32. For the Lions, it was Kidd scoring 2 and Somerton, 2 names that you probably see quite a lot of in their Lions 1 team, obviously getting much needed and valuable ice time for their second team. For the Buccaneers, after his games with the Stars and playing tough roles on that third line, probably a bit of a shutdown role, Sam Dowd gets himself 2 goals for the Buccaneers, along with Nertney, Price and Dowdle. Sutton Sting have their first shock of the season, but they still come away 2-1 winners over the Coventry Blaze, outshooting their opponents 45-24. Coulton and Brooksmith for the Sting, and Dixon for the Blaze. And the final game on Saturday was a close one. And again, Sheffield Titans having some of those Scimitar's players available to them, helping them over the line, with Dancer, Swaffield, Matthewman and Brobuck all on the score sheet. And it was Hathaway scoring 2 and Howie for the Bulldogs, who outshoot their hosts 44-37 in a losing effort 4-3. Moving into Sunday then, and the Sutton Sting have no issues with the Kingston Sharks, beating them 9-1. Apsley with 2, Glaspie, Russell, Crowther, Colton getting 2, Stennett and C. Glaspie. It's another loss for the Bradford Bulldogs, this time on home ice, where they lose out to the D-side Ducks. The Ducks actually outshoot the Bulldogs 47-41 and coming out 6-5 winners. Scoring for the Bulldogs is Furlong, Hathaway, Carroll and Vince getting 2. And for the Quack Attack, it's Cutting, Fideyevs, Clarkston, Milnes and Spear. And the final game of the weekend, it's a home game for Tigers 2, and it's a win for the Tigers as you'd expect, outshooting their visitors 38-27. Simpson on the score sheet for Coventry, and then it's Super with 3, Stanton with 2, Keys and Jets. Moving into the Laidler Cup then, and the top 2 of each division the top teams of each division have qualified. So the Sutton Sting from Group A and the Telford Tigers from Group B. It's all but certain that the Billingham Buccaneers will join the Sutton Sting and the Coventry Blaze will join the Telford Tigers. All but mathematical is what's not got it confirmed, basically. But like I say, in Group A, it's the Sutton Sting on 21 points. It's the Billingham Buccaneers with 12 points. Kingston Sharks, 5 points. Sheffield Titans, 4 points. And Lions 2, 3 points. Group B, it's the Tigers on 15 points. Coventry Blaze on 12, the Aces on 6, the Bulldogs on 4, and the D-side Ducks on 2 points. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I am a bit of a betting man, so I would probably go as far as saying the Sutton Sting will play the Coventry Blaze and the Billingham Buccaneers will play the Telford Tigers, who will want a little bit of revenge after last season's playoff semi-final. So there'll be certainly a couple of interesting games, because I can't see it being any other way, if I'm being honest. The Lidler division then, and it's the 2 unbeaten teams who are first and second. Sting top with playing more games. They are 12 from 12 for 36 points. The Tigers are 9 for 9 for 27 points. Third place is the Buccaneers with 18. Kingston, 11 games played. Well, so go with the games as well. Billingham Buccaneers have only played the 8 games for 18 points. Kingston Sharks have played 11 for 14 points. The Blaze have played 8 for 12 points. Aces, 10 games for 12 points. The Titans, 10 games for 10 points. The Bulldogs, 9 games for 7 points. The D-side Ducks, 8 games for 5 points. And the Nottingham Lions, 3 points. And what's good to see is every team does have a regulation win. So what action is in store for us from the Ladle this weekend? Let's just scroll along to the fixtures. So Saturday the 9th of November and the Sunday the 10th of November, we just have 4 games all weekend for you from the Ladle. On Saturday, it is the Sutton Sting versus the Bradford Bulldogs. It's the Telford Tigers versus Sheffield Titans. A bit of a big game, this one, in my opinion. It's the Billingham Buccaneers versus the Alty Aces. You just don't know what team the Aces will turn up with, and they can certainly upset and spoil a party. And it's the Bradford Bulldogs who host the Lions too. It's got the next 2 weekends fixtures here, and I was quickly looking at what the fixtures are like in a fortnight's time, and there's some big games here. Well, the biggest one that stands out is the Sting versus the Buccaneers in a fortnight's time. I was just trying to see if the Sting play the Telford Tigers, but no, it's not there, so we'll have to wait and see for that one. So there we have it then. That's the weekend's games and an update of what happened last weekend. But obviously, I think we're all waiting to talk about the biggest news, the big news that came out from the league. Just bear with me so I can pull up my slide. So yes, England Ice Hockey, along with NIHL, have announced the venue for this season's playoff weekend. And as we mentioned in the opening episode of the season, how there was going to be some changes, and obviously it has been confusing to some people. But as we've mentioned, this year there is no North final and South final, so the semi-finals were on a Saturday and the finals on a Sunday for the divisions. So in Sheffield last year it was North 1 and North 2 semi-finals, and then North 1 and North 2 final on Sunday. They've done away with that this year. The teams will pocket that money from those semi-finals, as they will now be 2-legged affairs, home and away, with whoever they may be in the North and the South. But what will happen this time around, those winners of those semi-finals in the North and South will turn up and play in the Steel City Showdown in Sheffield, in the Bauer Ice Arena, on the 12th and 13th of April. And it's going to be an absolute fantastic weekend of hockey. It's going to be better than we've ever imagined. It's going to be as close as it was to those who remember the Wembley days. Won't be as good as them days, obviously. Those days were a bit different. The hockey was a bit different. But we've certainly got ourselves a fantastic tournament coming up. So what are we going to see and what are we in for? Well, I'm not sure who we're going to see. A bit closer to the time, I'll certainly start talking to you guys about what's going on in the South and who are we likely to see coming up for the Steel City Showdown. But what we will see on Saturday is the Division 2 South final. We will see the Division 2 North final. We'll also see the Division 1 South final, along with the North 1 final. So 4 games still on a Saturday. Each division will have their own playoff championship to play for. And then we move into Sunday, where the winners of those games will then play for a national playoff title. So the winner of the North will play the winner of the South. And this year as well, obviously, due to the sad passing of league legend Ked Taggart, did a lot for the EIHA in running the leagues and doing a lot of work behind the scenes. Division 1 teams will play for the Ken Taggart Memorial Trophy, and that will be played between North 1 and South 1 playoff winners, and the Division 2 trophy will be called the Taggart Bowl, and that will be played against North 2 playoff champion versus South 2 playoff champion. So what about Coventry? Everyone's saying, what about Coventry? Well, Coventry will still be going ahead. That national title will be played by the winners of the league. The league winners will do battle at Coventry at the stupidly timed face-off in Coventry to help them with the value of their ticket. Personally, for me, it should be a home and away fixture, that one. Playoff weekend's a different thing. It's what it is. It's playoff weekend. League play is home and away. You play everybody home and away. So that's what the league national championship should be for. It shouldn't be played at Coventry just to appease the division above with their ticket valuation and all that crap. The two teams have a right to play each other home and away. But it's certainly going to be interesting to who's going to make all these finals. A lot of silverware on offer this year. It's going to be a great season. The Morley is just getting warmed up. The Ladler, not so much, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see who's going to finish in those third and fourth spots in the division for the home advantage in the playoffs. At the moment in the Ladler, it does look like it's going to be between Telford and Sutton. They're the two form teams. They're the two teams without a loss. And then it's the Billingham Buccaneers who are the best of the rest at the moment. So we will be keeping an eye on that. And the Morley, it's still wide open. Like I said a bit earlier, I didn't think the Stars would be this good this year, but it still is only early. But then it's also up to the teams to try and stop them and slow them down. There's some big fixtures coming this weekend, just like there is every weekend. I know I was going to talk about the incident between the Stars and the Lions in the handshake, because obviously the bans got announced on this Friday or Saturday, but there's nothing really to go into ban-wise. I think both clubs did okay out of it. I thought the statement was a crock of shit. The statement basically took the blame away from a very, very poor officiating performance, and it also put some blame at the door of the Billingham Stars, which, for those of you who were at the game, I think would understand that wasn't the case, and it just ended up becoming a bit of a shit show, really. But yeah, Darren Stattersfield probably unlucky to end up with 6 games. He got 4-game ban for the incident and an extra 2 games for penalty points. So I think, to be fair, he's been unlucky with both bans and the length of both bans as well, to be honest. Bit shit. Obviously, James Moss, who's talisman for the Billingham Stars, he'll be a big loss. He also got 4 games, and obviously the 2 guys in Nottingham also got their bans who took part in the fight. Jordan Wright and Owen Davis receiving the bans on the side of Nottingham as well. So, like I say, they all got 4 games for the initial incident. I believe it's between 3 and 5 for automatic fight in the handshake. Or it's between 3 and 5 games automatic ban in the handshake. So it is what it is. And obviously Darren Stattersfield for Billingham with the extra penalty points picks up the extra 2. I've waffled on long enough now. It is a Wednesday night, so I'm going to go and chill out in front of the TV because I managed to get this done earlier than anticipated. I didn't record on Tuesday for obvious reasons. There was a lot of noise outside, and it wasn't going to be fair on Fiona to be doing all that editing, trying to basically cover out all the bangs of the fireworks. Yeah, I am trying my best to get them out earlier in the week to either record on a Monday or a Tuesday, but with StarCast as well. Got to fit it around that. But yeah, left you guys with a bit of a question as well. Look forward to hearing your comments and you coming back to me. Anything you want to hear or anything you want me to cover, please get in touch. Any feedback, please get in touch. Do you want to see things like live videos and things like that, or see a video version of the podcast? Would people be up for that? People want me to get more guests on, and what type of guests would you like to see? Bearing in mind that I am a crap interviewer, so please do take that into consideration. I am going to try and get something off the ground for playoff weekend. I'm going to try and speak to some other podcasters up and down the country and see if we can get together and do one big show for you, maybe at playoff weekend. Maybe try and do it live. We'll see, but that's just all talk and a work in progress at the moment. I literally can't think of anything else. Widnes may or may not be announcing the signings before the weekend. Obviously Tom Brown was picked up by the Sheffield Steel Dogs for injury cover, I believe for initial 3 games. We'll see if that gets extended. We know Barlow's left Leeds. He hasn't rocked up anywhere yet. And that just about covers it. So yeah, get in touch. Give me some feedback. Whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through X, whether it's to the email, sticktothepod@gmail.com. please do get in touch. Please do leave some feedback. And if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And that's all for this week. I'll catch you again later. Bye for now.